Operation Warp Speed is in full effect. This is a government-sanctioned operation to go after the coronavirus. Companies are frantically going after a vaccine. Well, which stocks can you profit from? Coronavirus is huge. It's a big story. Everybody's racing to get a vaccine. And there's an operation called Operation Warp Speed where companies are getting to phase 3 trials faster than ever. And that's a good thing, but it's a scary thing because the reason why we have so much time to test drugs is to make sure you understand what the side effects are, what the ill effects are. But with Operation Warp Speed, the government is put behind and say, go, 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 go. And companies like Moderna are getting to phase 3 trials by the end of this month. That's unheard of, but we're trying to put a hold or slow down this pandemic as quickly as we can. And so these companies are running after a vaccine. And here's one story that talks about several different companies: AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, Vaxart, Novavax. For those of you who are part of our jockey club, we've made some money on these as day trades. This is still my stock of choice, Moderna. I think that they are very close in their phase 3 trials. I think this is going to be one of the first companies that come out. There's a company over in England and who says that they're very close. And then I just saw a story that Russia says they have it. They have a vaccine and that they're giving it to their high-ranking officials. It's news. I ain't calling it fake. I ain't calling it nothing. It's news. So I don't know. Don't get me caught up in that stuff. All right? It's just news. So people are running after it. And here's a few stocks that are talking about it. I'm only pretty much going to stay with the headline stories. We're going to analyze the stocks. And I have another one which looks at Pfizer and Biotech. They get money from the government, $1.95 billion, an order already from the government for a vaccine. It ain't there yet, but the government is already paying for it to get this vaccine out there. We ain't playing games on trying to get to this vaccine. Again, there is a downside to this. As fast as we're trying to get to a vaccine, the normal testing process that we go through is not there. We're very anxious to get a vaccine, and I am a little nervous about the side effects that could come from this vaccine. I'm just putting my 2 cents into that. But vaccines to be provided to Americans free of charge. Companies didn't specify pricing details. That's huge too. All right, free of charge. Whereas there's other companies out there saying, we're going to come out with a vaccine, but it's going to be expensive. Well, if you're going to pay somebody that kind of money, they better put it out for free. That's what I got to say. If the government going to pay that kind of money, you better put it out for free. So I'm going to go into the software real quick. I want to go find those stocks. I have them in a watch list. That's not the one I wanted. Where's the one that I want? Is it this one, Joey? Which one of these did I want? Is it? Hold on. Joey's going to open up what I want. All right. Okay. There we go, that one. I'm going to go, we always create a watch list of our stocks that we're going to pay attention to this week. In the watch list viewer, I'm going to go to my YouTube Trending Thursday. Let's go to this week's stocks. It's going to be on 7/23/20. There we go. And the stocks that I'm going to look at for coronavirus, I got a lot of stocks in here this week. I had a lot of stocks to look at. But the stocks will be AstraZeneca. Actually, let's sort this by symbol. All right, do this again. I want AstraZeneca. There's the BioNTech. What else is here? Moderna, Novavax, Pfizer, Vaxart. I believe that should be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 stocks right there, Joey? No, it should be 7. Oh, I'm going to look at the Spiders Biotech ETF to help you within this space as well. So Let's go look at all of these graphs and let's determine from their graph layouts which ones are possibly the better ones to look at. I always like to look at a 3-month graph because what happens every 3 months on the stock? Earnings. I always want to have the earnings picture in play when looking at a stock's price movement because earnings is the biggest portion of a stock's price movement. AstraZeneca made the story that they're getting that money. What's happening to the stock? Well, it's pulling down. We use moving averages, a 3 and an 8 exponential moving average. Stock is pulling down. I'm not saying that it's the right time to get into the stock. Thus the reason why we pull up the VectorVest software to look at the stocks as they've made the news to make a better decision whether or not you buy it. So a lot of times you see the news, you go, man, I'm going to go buy it, and then this happens. This is why we analyze a graph. Let's go to the next stock real quick. BNTX, nicely moving higher, pulled back today. Both of those stocks who are getting the money from the government, both pulled back. Very interesting that the government is backing them, but people are taking profits on those stocks as they are getting hit on big volume today. I'm going to go down to the next one. Moderna, my stock of choice. I've been liking it based on the news that it's getting closer to a vaccine more than any other stocks that I've seen out there, to include Johnson & Johnson. I wouldn't buy it today. Novavax, look at that equity curve. Look at that equity curve. Right now, as other stocks are pulling down, this one is pulling down, but in a sideways fashion. That's not a bad play. Watch RT on it, though. That's a telling sign. Even though the stock is going up, the relative timing or the short-term price trend of the stock is pulling down. That could be a telling sign. Pfizer, look at that. All of these stocks within that space are feeling the effects today. Interesting because the news should be taking them higher. Vaxart, another stock we've made money on when it was jumping up, pulling back. The 3 and the 8 are still bullish, but pulling back. Watch RT and the volume. And the last one is to play the industry as a whole. I like, this is a little twist. Instead of trying to buy into an individual stock within this industry, why not look at the whole industry in one ticker symbol, the XBI, which is an ETF, the spiders on the biotech. That may not be a bad play, and it will reduce you to it will expose you to a lot less risk because it's one ticker symbol looking at all of the stocks within that industry. If any one stock really finds the cure, or not the cure, or the vaccine, this thing will take off because it's looking at all of them as a whole. Susan, anything you want to add to that in regards to that space?
Yeah. So yes, I've been watching what we're calling the Oxford the Oxford vaccine, I should say. You know, very. This was all over the front page of the Financial Times this week, saying that the vaccine could be ready by potentially even Christmas. And I think, though, it's important to look at what is a vaccine, right? So is a vaccine something that makes me utterly immune to the virus? Because if we look at then maybe what could accelerate the progress towards that, obviously the trials and the FDA and the approvals. But number one is that the antibody tests, that's also something that's very interesting to watch, because if people know that they have been exposed to the virus, some people have been asymptomatic, but they've also not even felt it, then they could have the antibodies, and then that may make them, you know, be able to not have to adhere to social distancing and so on like that. So if you could en masse be able to do that for a country, well then could you accelerate the economic recovery? And that has been something that the UK government has been looking into. So when you mentioned about AstraZeneca and the vaccine there, I think that it's just important to look at the ways in which this is also being looked at. The other thing, and this is why I'm particularly interested in the ETF route, is that there's also other ways of looking at this. If we could speed up recovery time, for example, if you could increase the amount of oxygen getting into somebody's lungs while they're in intensive care, if you can prevent them from getting from hospitalization to intensive care, all of those are really going to matter. Now, personally, I'm not a medical expert. I'm certainly not a biotech expert. But what I do know is that, yes, your government is pouring money into this. The European Union is pouring money into this. The UK is pouring money into this. Australia is, and on and on and on we could go. So personally, rather than trying to get exactly the right one, and you've mentioned some great stocks there. And like when I think of Pfizer was the very first stock that I ever sold an option on. It was trading at $15 and I got $80 for selling my first put premium on it. And I never learned so much about options as when I did at that particular stage. But the thing is that no matter what, we're dealing with one particular company and one particular way in which it's taking it on. So personally, I am looking at the ETF, looking to see are there ways in which to manage that. If you look at that beautiful comfort index that's on that stock there, right behind you there, Glenn, that's right up my street. I mean, after all, comfort index is an ability to withstand severe or lengthy price declines, and ultimately taking the whole lot together, I think would be quite a prudent move, and it's something that I'd certainly be considering.
And that was my twist this week in regards to this space. I love this space, especially from a trader's perspective. Our Jockey Club members have made a lot of money. One of the VXRT, we made 142% in a day, in a day trade. We made 142% in a day. So they do provide you with great day trading opportunities because it's always news driven. But this was my twist this week. Instead of trying to play the individual stock, take a look at this XBI, which looks at the whole sector. Now, Jay asks, why not another index? I could have used whatever index I wanted, but I like overall, if I look at XBI, looking up, moving higher, I could also look at LABU. Jay put in, what was it? What other thing? IBB, IBB. There's a couple of different. There's LABU, looks a lot like what we just looked at. There's IBB. They all look alike. But if I'm looking at a price perspective, LABU is the least expensive. But I know that anything dealing, where is what was the one I was just looking at? Good Lord, have mercy. XBI. Don't give me the wrong one, Joey. I'm gonna punch you. XBI. All right. They all are looking the same. Could you, whichever one fit, whatever floats your boat, Jay. All right, whatever floats your boat. I don't know what kind of boat you got, but whatever floats your boat, take whatever makes it easier for you. But I think investing in the whole space in one ticker symbol makes a lot of sense, especially with so many stocks or so many companies trying to go find that happy place or that vaccine. Normally, I would go look at my watch list for these stocks, but I think we've got enough stocks right here that are good enough to take a look at. I'm going to take a look at one other thing. Remember, we have an indicator called RV. For those of you who are looking for these stocks that have the best upside potential, how about Novavax? It's got an RV of 1.37. If you're looking at the safest one in this list, well, right back to what Susan said, AstraZeneca is a great stock. How about it's the safest out of the list? And then if I want to find out which ones are moving up the fastest, that would be back to Novavax again. So Novavax has got good upside potential. It is a little risky because the relative safety is below 1, but it's in an uptrend. And look at that CI of 1.5. This may be all around the best play for upside ability and moving up, growing their earnings at a clip of 27% a year, where even as good as AstraZeneca is, and I'm only just using the data from the software, they're growing their earnings at a negative clip. You know why? AstraZeneca puts a lot of stocks out. They've got to go through a lot of testing to get their stocks out there and done. Do they always make money on their stocks? No, but they keep pushing that money. Most really good pharmaceutical companies, a lot of them grow their earnings at a negative rate, unfortunately, because of all of the stuff that they have in the pipeline. All right, but Novavax growing their earnings at a clip of 27%. Vaxart, on the other hand, growing their earnings at a clip of 18%, but the only thing it's got going for it, as far as the analysis, is that it's going up in price. The fundamentals behind the stock are not there. So I still like the idea of going with an ETF to go with the whole space.